Excellent. Well, welcome everyone to today's Lunch and Learn webinar on getting started with Associated College's Handshake training so that you all may be recruiting the emerging talent from our phenomenal universities here in St. Lawrence County. I would like to note that this session is really, today's seminar is really the third part of a program that we have been doing to help foster workforce connections between our universities and our businesses and organizations in St. Lawrence County. And it's been a partnership of the Associated Colleges of the St. Lawrence Valley, which includes SUNY Canton, SUNY Potsdam, St. Lawrence University, and Clarkson University, along with the St. Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce and the Potsdam Chamber of Commerce. We kicked off this initiative on October 29th with a really fabulous Workforce Connections University Business Mixer at SUNY Canton, which provided some great panel discussion on internship and workforce connections and the career services personnel who were there. And we do that every year, and so we want to encourage you to stay plugged into the chamber so that you can be ready to attend next year's Workforce Connections Mixer. We then followed up that mixer with a Lunch and Learn webinar on getting started with Associated Colleges internships. And that was another informative session. And I encourage you to, if you have not viewed that or were not present for that webinar, to also check that out on our SLC Chamber NY YouTube channel. The recording there is viewable at your convenience. So that finally, we will wrap things up in this program today with this webinar on Handshake. Uh, Referring back to our collaborative to make this happen, I would like to extend our appreciation to Karen Kuss and Vicki Jaycott from the Associated Colleges of the St. Lawrence Valley, and to Melanie Flack, Executive Director of the Potsdam Chamber of Commerce. So providing the valuable insights today on Handshake and how easy it is to use and how great a way it is to find that university talent. Presenting will be Ann Warren, Assistant Director of Employer Engagement at St. Lawrence University's Center for Career Excellence. Emily Sheltry, Associate Director of Career Development at Clarkson University. Nichelle Burnett, Career Services Coordinator at the Center for Applied Learning at SUNY Potsdam. Julie Parkman, Director of Career Services at SUNY Canton. We'll also hear from some employer perspective from Yen Main, who's the CEO at Adirondack Fragrance, and from Jordan Downing Duke, who's the Assistant Director of Corporate Services at United Helpers.
Yeah.
So with that, I will, Karen, would you like to add any comments?
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for joining us here today. I just want to share just briefly why the Associated Colleges came together for today's session. So across our institutions, we share a common goal, which is helping students find meaningful opportunities while making it also easy for our local employers to engage with our campuses. So instead of navigating multiple systems or contacts, Handshake, what it does is actually gives employers a one place to connect with students across our colleges. And all of our colleges use Handshake. And so it's become an effective hiring and engagement tool that employers can utilize, especially for employers who are looking to seek talent across multiple institutions. So what we're hoping for today's presentation from our Career Center teams is that they're going to give you a better sense of how to optimally utilize Handshake. So you're going to hear from our representatives who's just going to walk you through what's Handshake really all about and how to use it to your best capacity. And ultimately, we hope that today's session will help strengthen the pipeline between your organization and our students. Okay, so thank you.
Great. And with that, we will turn things over to Ann Warren from St. Lawrence University.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Warren. It says Assistant Director, but I'm the Associate Director of Employer Engagement at the St. Lawrence University Center for Career Excellence. And I'm really excited to be here with my colleagues from the Associated Colleges and the Chamber of Commerce to sort of show you a little bit about Handshake and why you should use it to recruit talent. Um, if you could go to the next slide. Um, what is Handshake? And so Handshake is the number one platform for early career recruitment. And so when we say early career, we mean when you're hiring undergraduates and entry level roles. And so Handshake is a platform that all of the local colleges use to introduce their students to employers who are looking to hire interns and entry level candidates. Um, One of the reasons why we say we have our students use Handshake is because it's the place where they don't have to sift through hundreds of thousands of positions that they're not yet qualified for at the mid or high level, maybe like Indeed or Glassdoor. Handshake is just for students in undergrad and graduating seniors, and sometimes a little like maybe 3 to 5 years out, but mostly for undergraduates. If you can go to the next slide, please. Um, What's really cool about it is that it is free for employers. While there are options to pay for a premium account, you do not have to invest in that. The free option for Handshake is more than you're going to need to recruit from the local schools. So I don't want you to feel like this is going to have to be something that you're going to have to financially invest in, because the free tool is very easy to use. It's also but we, as career centers, invest in this financially so our students have the best possible experience. Could you go one more slide for me, please? But we're not the only schools that use it. Most higher education institutions are using Handshake to connect students with early career employers. You'll see on this graphic here some of the different institutions and some of the companies that use it to hire students. And so if you're looking to hire undergrads, we'd love for you to recruit our students since we're local and we're closest to you. But you can also connect with institutions in the city, in Plattsburgh, Rochester, Buffalo, really across the state or across the United States to find the best talent there is. I will say, though, I think you'll find the best talent at the 4 universities in this area. And we're, as career center representatives, are very happy to sort of help you through that process of creating an account and connecting with students. And so I am super excited to hand it over to my colleagues at the Associated Colleges to show you how to engage with Handshake if you've never done it before. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Anne. So I am going to share my screen. I'm going to replace your share. But the most important thing I think to know about Handshake is there is a slight sort of process in order to very first get started. But that's put in place, number one, to make sure that nobody's impersonating you or your business, and also just to make sure that it's easy for all of us to navigate. So please bear with us. Handshake does have like its own purposes for doing these things. And we'll talk more at the end about the support articles that are actually available through Handshake. But the very first thing before you even get onto the website is actually to figure out if you have an account or if your employer is not on Handshake at all. If they're not on Handshake at all, it's really simple. It's just app.joinhandshake.com, and it will lead you through the process, which is actually very simple. It'll be your name, your work email, a password. And when you click create account, you will then get a validation email that you'll have to validate that that's your email. If you do already have an employer account, it's important to know who owns that account. And if you have any questions about that, don't be afraid to reach out to us. Usually we can see that from our end. But that person that has the account, all they would do is click their name and teammates. And then they have a invite link here where they can actually add you to that specific like organization without you having to go through the whole validation process. If you have questions about the validation process, that is also here in this this like support articles section. It's actually pretty straightforward. Again, it's just making sure to protect our students that number one, you're who you say you are, and that nobody can impersonate you, because sometimes, especially with larger companies, that does happen. And that's the very first step. From there, once you're in Handshake, you actually have a profile that you can set up. And this may be something that you already have as an organization language around. So you can add things about yourself, about your skills, and actually sort of fill this out to just make sure that when students connect with you, they feel like they're engaging with a person who is a real person. The other thing you have here though is not your profile, apologies, your brand page. If you're the person who is setting up your account, you'll also want to just briefly go through a brand page, talk a little bit about who you are, maybe do a nice little logo. And they're really simple, so you can edit everything with these little pencils here. Nichelle is going to talk about job postings in a sec, but this is also a really great way to decide who you want to be basically representing your organization. So this will allow you to choose people who maybe want to be a little bit more public facing, or maybe you have people who you want to do recruiting and some of that back end work, but you don't necessarily want students to be able to reach out and like continue to connect with them. You can decide on what your profile settings should look like from there. Once you feel really good about this, you have your profile set up and you have your brand set up the way that you would like it to be. From there, you'll want to start connecting with schools. I'll get rid of some of these. So to connect with schools, you'll notice here at Clarkson, we've actually connected with quite a few. You'll get a whole list of just about everyone who's on Handshake. So that's really cool too. If you're somebody who maybe you're just sort of trying to, jog your memory about who is available here. So you can go here. You can also favorite schools and then have a list of your favorites. I really like this because then you don't have to do extra work to like sort for people every time. But the most important thing about connecting with schools is Handshake will only let you connect with a school if you have a job posting to share with them. So on our end, for example, at Clarkson, when somebody initially requests to connect with us, they are all automatically approved so long as they actually have a job that fits the criteria we've set. So our criteria is very simple. It's just that, the job has to be paid and it can't be listed as a residential address. But as long as that job goes through, then all of a sudden you're connected to all of these schools. And it is really simple. So you would just click on a school that you are not connected with, and it will lead you right through the process. It'll say post a job to connect, and you would choose your job, and it will take you to this piece, and you can either choose the job or you can create a job. So I'm going to pass it over to Nichelle, and she's going to show you a little bit about how to create a job. But if you have any questions, I think the only piece that can sometimes create a snag is just that initial making sure that you don't have a Handshake account already. And that's very easy for us to check. So if you have any questions about that, just reach out. And I'll pass it over to Nichelle.
All right, thank you, Emily. So I'll share my screen really quickly. And I will be talking about how to post the jobs. So on the slide that you'll receive later on, there's kind of a step-by-step. And really, the first step is setting up that employer account, or double checking if you have one. And then the next thing that you'll do is simply click on create a job. Prior to this, though, I would really strongly suggest that you create your job description. And so I have mine ready to go. I'll show you how I go about putting that in. So really, even before you start create a job, just outline what are the duties and the responsibilities, think through the hours, maybe some of the skills, the pay level. So I will lead you through this process. So you'll click on create a job, or if you're on another screen, like Emily was just on, post a job. That might be what the button says. And it brings you to this screen. So what I'm going to do is just paste in my job description that I've created. Mine is for one of my student workers that I'll be posting soon. And Handshake has a newer feature which will fill in some of the information from your job description. So you'll just click continue. It's really intuitive. And it will take just a moment to think it through. And you can see that some of the things are populated into the fields from my job description. And so you just go through and double check that you want it to show as a job or an internship. In my case, I'm going to be advertising for an on-campus student employee. So likely you'll just choose between those two. And it's a nice step-by-step. It's not going to let you forget anything. You choose whether it's on-site, remote, or hybrid. And then, like I said before, it had populated that this is located in Potsdam, New York. If that's incorrect, you just click that X and type in your location here. And sometimes things don't populate. So it didn't populate how many hours. So I'm just going to put 4 hours per week. Choose what kind of employment duration. So as you can see, it's really customizable, really easy. And some of this optional information, it can be helpful to kind of make the match stronger between you and the job that you're posting and the student. Or you might want to cast your net a little more wide and bring more people to your job listing. It's totally up to you. For me, because I'm looking for student workers to help with career development, I'm going to add that as a perk, that it's career development for them as well. Website can go here if you'd like. And then categorizing your job. Again, you don't have to fill this out. Actually, maybe you do. I might be wrong about that. But for me, it populated these two. I don't have a need for a residential advisor, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that and continue. And I do require authorization, and then you select whatever applies for your job. And here you can optionally list skills. Again, narrow the search to people who have the skills that you are looking for. And that would depend on whatever they post on their own profile, because the students also create a profile. Sometimes the way that I describe Handshake is it's kind of like LinkedIn, but for college students specifically. So it does depend on what they've listed for skills. So you may choose to leave the door open wide by not listing skills. Choose the degree level of the student you're looking for. Anything else that you would like. So here I might want to recruit any student from across the school, in which case I would remove these. But these students, especially in their degree programs, are counseling one another or teaching skills. So I've left those majors there. And then I'm going to put a GPA requirement. And then here's this portion where you can choose some schools like Emily was talking about, just from a different location. Finally, you can choose whether you want to post on Handshake, which we recommend, or if you want them to apply through a separate website, which is just kind of another hurdle for students, in my opinion. But if that's what your company does, certainly. Finally, you can let them know what are the documents that they'll need to submit, or if there are other instructions, you can click on Other. And then sometimes if you have a larger company, there may be separate divisions housed within the overall company. And so that may be something to check on. Maybe that doesn't apply to most of us, but just a little quick insight about that. And then finally, you can get a wide variety of notifications when people apply for your job. I usually do click feature myself as available for candidate messages. I think that personalizes things a little bit more too. And then here I can choose hiring team members. So the hiring team members that pop up for me are fellow SUNY Potsdam employers or employees. And so I'm putting my supervisor here, Sarah Lister, as someone else who then I can choose whether, she might want to get just one email when the period closes, or every time someone applies, whatever it might be. So you can have that conversation with your hiring team who might want to be included. Perfect. We've got all our information in, and then you can go through and double check everything. I often do choose to leave all the information here, even though it shows up in all of these fields, just so it's kind of all in one space as well. And you have these nice edit buttons if something did come out different than you expected it to, or you want to adjust. So for example, I really don't want to do hybrid, so I could edit that and make it just on site. And once everything checks out, you like how it looks, you're ready to post your job. And I will pass it on.
I believe I'm up next. Thank you. Could we return to the slide deck, please? Thanks, Ben.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to, could we go to the slide recruiting and finding students, which I believe is 7?
Sorry, hold on just a second. I'm having
That's
some
okay.
technical difficulties here.
Okay.
Ben, would you like me to put
There
the
we
slides?
go.
Okay.
There we go.
Is this the one you're looking for?
I'm seeing the first one getting started. I don't know if anybody else is. It's
Let me try this again.
okay. Sorry, Ben.
No problem.
Sorry, everyone.
I think I must have just clicked on the wrong button. How's that? Which slide are you after, Julie?
The very next one. There it is. Yay!
There it
Thank you
is.
so
All
much.
right. We're back
Thank
in
you,
action.
Yay.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, you're very welcome. So as I was listening to my wonderful previous presenters here, it became very obvious to me that Handshake is really a great tool for smaller businesses because it acts in many ways like a larger, more expensive application tracking system for you. Just as you saw putting the wonderful job Michelle did explaining how to post a job, and that Emily did creating profiles and connecting, you can capture those applications, you can filter through, and you can actually use Handshake to recruit the students that you are connected with at the colleges. Handshake, I actually went into and explored a little bit recently to prepare for this, has a wonderful thing called Employer Academy. And they have wonderful short videos there that will explain to you the different recruiting options and opportunities to do. But there's a couple of things I just want to bring to your attention that Handshake has, and then address that we, as career service centers, are also here to help. So first thing, even on the Handshake has different levels of membership, but the basic one is free. And we understand the costs part. So we want to encourage and focus on this. But you can actually go in and click your job, and they have a thing called Handshake Job Match, which will connect you to prospective students that are attached to that college that might be able to be interested in your job. There you have up to 100 a month, and then you get an opportunity to potentially email me your matches through Handshake, which you get 10 a month with that. In addition, Handshake also allows you to post for 30 days your job description under the basic with no charge, and you're able to renew monthly the same job description up to a year for that. So there is ways of actually sorting out and prospecting and recruiting students within that. You heard Emily speak about your brand, which is something we all know with social media. Brand is that term. Handshake does allow you to add and cultivate your brand if that's something you desire. They have a Handshake feed, which is the first thing students see. So when you post a job, you can actually post a link that you've posted a job. They even coach you on how to do this and what kind of techniques you want for marketing your brand and establishing it. I think that's a really great idea if you have the time, but if you don't, it's still got that nice sorting out the applications that come in for it. It is super important for us, all of us, to follow EEO, which is the Equal Employment Opportunities, which is why we always say, please post first. When you post first, we can then spread the news out. For us at SUNY Canton, and I'm sure everyone else does it. We make sure that if an employer contacts us with a specific need and they've already posted it, we can actually email the students in a certain cohort targeting that to give an extra bump that this job has just come online and worthy of their attention for that. So that Handshake is the gatekeeper for us tracking EEO and being in good standing with that regulation. In addition, I know each of our career centers, each of the schools have kind of a different flavor, but we are here to help coordinate and develop a good recruiting tool for yourself. So for Clarkson and SUNY Canton, we have semesterly career fairs. So you can certainly, do a recruiting event around that. We also do tabling. I know SUNY Potsdam does an annual spring career fair, and that's coming up March 18th. So that we'll put that out there. And St. Lawrence has lots of different opportunities to connect. So if you're thinking and you really want to find a way of where to meet and greet students, we will work with you. I think I'm going to speak for everybody, but we will work with you because our goals is to get students connected with good jobs, and we would love to see great people stay up in our area here for that. So I think that's all I have. Moving on to the next wonderful person. Thank you.
I wanted to mention here that while we're here to support employers, Handshake has a very robust support function. And so on every employer Handshake page, there is a help button. And the Help Center has robust articles. I'm going to share a couple links in the chat about getting started, which includes a lot of this information that we've shared with you today that you can go through and read, and really in-depth information about how to post a job, just like Michelle did. So Handshake is an awesome platform where you're able to connect with people who work there who are happy to help. They're very responsive, and they want to make sure that everyone involved, students, employers, and career centers, have a really easy time of working with the platform. And so all around, the reason we're encouraging you to use Handshake is to make your lives easier when recruiting local students. I will put in a couple links in the chat to articles in their Help Center. These are just two. There are hundreds that are very, very helpful for every aspect of the platform.
Thank you, Anne. Yes, as Anne mentioned, she'll put those in the chat, and I know Karen has also already put a couple of useful links in the chat, so you can grab those as we're going, and we will, of course, follow up in a follow-up communication to this session with those links as well. So with that, we can turn to hearing from a couple of our employers who have used Handshake and get their thoughts on what that experience has been like. So with that, we'll turn to Yen Main, who is Chief Executive Officer of Adirondack Fragrance. Hello, Yen.
Hi, Ben. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So I'm Yan Man. I'm the CEO and owner of Adirondack Fragrance. We are based in Parrishville, where we create our own brand and private label candles, soaps, body care products, and perfume. I also co-own Nature Storehouse, a health food store, and Grab and Go Deli on Main Street in Canton that has been serving the community since 1972. And so we recently used Handshake to look for staff for our New York City holiday market in December last year. Since that is a very seasonal and high energy position, we're looking for like young internship and like certain like type of candidate. And my experience with the platform was great. It was very user friendly, as you guys can see, like during the demo, to set up the profile, to post the job. But what impressed me most was the quality of the applicants. So I have talked to some students like based in New York City and also in Canton. And they are all very enthusiastic and, like very serious, professional about the work. Even though we didn't ultimately make a hire for this specific position during this cycle, but I think the candidates there were like, strong, professional. And it gave me a lot of like confidence that when we are ready to pull the trigger on a hire again, Handshake is like a right place for the small business owners to find that talent, especially, versus Indeed. It's like local and also like without any cost. So if you guys have any questions about, an employer's like experience about hiring, recruiting, even on Handshake, I'm happy to share. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Yen, for sharing your experience with everyone. And so let's also hear from Jordan Downing Duke, who is the Assistant Director of Corporate Services for United Helpers. Jordan, thank you for joining us and sharing your insights.
Everyone. I do also have a member of my team, Natalie Bean, on as well. So I'm going to give a little oversight, and then Natalie is really using Handshake day to day and is going to give a little bit more about uploading those jobs and such. So we've been using Handshake at United Helpers for around 5 years now. As you've heard today, it is very easy to use to set up those profiles and to get you connected with the 4 associated colleges, as well as beyond. So I know our goal here obviously is the 4 colleges, but I will speak to some of those jobs that you're looking for might have a niche area where it might need a different degree that we don't have at the 4 colleges. So I think that that's important to note, as well as it does open doors in terms of looking at undergrad and graduate programs where there might be degrees that are needed and we're limited in our area. We use the free version and I have had a great time with that. And then I think that we've mentioned it on this call, but another important thing is we look at it as 2 different ways to use it. So we're recruiting students as they are actively here as students within their 4+ years, while they're in our area. And that is our entry level jobs where they're part-time looking to make a little extra money. And then we look at it as how can we recruit students? So we think about it in terms of the semester. So as they're gearing up towards the end of the semester, looking at graduation, how can we maybe entice them to stay? So especially for that spring semester that we're coming up on, is how can we entice them to stay towards the end of the year? So I've worked with Anne, I'm a St. Lawrence alum. So yes, I moved up to the area here. And so I think one of the things that I look at, my wife also works at St. Lawrence, so my life is revolved around the semester schedule. So I realize I have a different point of view looking at this, but around March and April is when those students are really starting to look for graduation. And so those jobs we're mindful as to what we're posting, to hopefully entice them to stay in the area. Because if you're posting in May, they're graduating and they've got 1 foot already out the door type of thing. So we're hoping to get them before that. And then I know this is for Handshake, but another plug, all of the 4 colleges have amazing internship programs, and have been amazing to work with for various projects. So that's just a little plug that I thought I would get while we've got everyone here, is we've had some really, really great experiences with student interns. And Handshake is a really great way to get connected, but also utilize the resources the colleges are providing us, and the different career centers and the opportunity that we have to work with some really amazing students. Natalie, do you want to share some of the information on the apps that we've received just recently?
Yes, so right now we have 11 active jobs that I have put into Handshake, and these are jobs that either we continuously are hiring for, or they are jobs that they can look forward to after graduation. But since April of 2025, we've actually had 25 applications through Handshake. And what I do is once they apply, I like the message feature that's in Handshake, to where I can message them after they apply, thanking them for applying, redirecting them again to our website where our application is. And then if they have any questions, there's the phone number to our HR department. But it was nice to see how many applications we've had since April.
I think that's it from us. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jordan and Natalie. Karen, would you like to speak to the Career Center contacts?
I'd be happy to. All right, so listed on the slide, if Ben, can you just share the slide?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So here we have listed our wonderful career representatives, where you can, if you have any questions about how to navigate Handshake, questions about their unique internship programs, as Jordan has put a plug in, they are wonderful people to connect with. They would be delighted to talk to you and walk you through some of their unique programs that they offer. And just if you need any support, they are there. And so when Ben gets that slide up, you can see who those
I'm
folks
trying.
are once again. But you have met good chunk
Yeah.
of them today. So thank you for those for being here. And yeah, there's the slide will appear shortly where you can see their
I'm
contact information.
trying to get it up.
And you can also see in the chat, some folks are also throwing in some extra
I,
contact information.
not to interrupt you, but I could see the slide
Oh,
from
I
Ben.
Yeah.
And so I think when you get the recording, everyone will be able to see that.
I
So
got it now.
yeah.
Thanks.
Can you all see the slide now?
Okay, maybe it was just me. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So you can see everyone listed here. These are our presenters, and they also have a strong team that they can also connect you with in their offices as well. So thank you.
Great. I just want to confirm, can people see the screen with the slide with the contact information?
Yes.
Yeah.
Super. Great. Thank you. And yes, I would echo statements here to if you have any issues to reach out to these individuals who are wonderfully responsive and helpful in these processes. Great. So with that, I think we are at the point we could, it looks like we do have a little time. If anybody has any questions, they could either chime in or throw their questions in the chat if they would like.
I have a question.
Okay, hit us with your question.
Okay, so I'm Julie. I'm with the Ogdensburg History Museum. We've gotten some great interns from St. Lawrence and also SUNY Potsdam. So this has been wonderful. My question about Handshake is we need a lot of different things. Should I be posting those as individual internship opportunities or one big internship possibility? Because we, for example, have someone who is a business administration major right now, but we also need people for collections and that kind of thing. So what's your recommendation on that?
Happy to answer this one. And if my colleagues have different answers, feel free to share. That really depends on what you're looking for. And so I don't see anything wrong with listing one posting where you explain like in short sentences, the different interns that you're looking for, like for the different areas.
Okay.
You may need to add a note saying in your cover letter, please explain why you are interested in which internship so that it's clear when they do apply. Having said that, though, if you were to post multiple internships, they're very easy to duplicate in Handshake. And
Right.
so you wouldn't necessarily have to put those in all the time. And so it's really whatever you're looking for. And any one of us is sort of happy to work with you one-on-one to discuss what might be best.
Okay.
Excellent question. Thank you, Julie. I'll note that we also had a question in the chat that asked if you require a minimum or maximum number of hours weekly and or monthly. And the response from Michelle is that there is no minimum or maximum requirement, at least for SUNY Potsdam. So if other members of the panel would like to, if it's any different there, please let us know. Okay.
I'll say from Clarkson, we don't have a specific measure necessarily, but we do always recommend trying to be as upfront as possible, just as a best practice. So trying to say, you know, we'll likely be able to offer you 10 hours a week, or if your funding is only say 5, just to say that as upfront as you can.
Just as a point of measure, it's usually like under 29 hours a week is a good guidance and balance with students to be able to get their homework done too. For that. So there's really no minimum or maximum. But I agree with Emily, you know, being forthright with it. So they do count, like if they're going in and applying on something, whether it's for credit or not for credit and paid, they will count on that time and if it's paid money.
Great. Any other questions?
Can I add just one more thing too? Um, we here at Clarkson, we do have a pretty high population of international students. If you have never worked with somebody with OPT or CPT, you may get questions about that. Please don't be afraid to reach out. I'm happy to help guide you through the process. But I always say, like, don't automatically assume that you can't hire international students, only because if they have especially like within STEM, certain designations or certain visas, they may be able to work with you if it applies to their major program. So keep that in mind too.
Thank you to our career services reps for the responses to that. That was helpful guidance. Kim now knows how to divvy up her 180 hours that she has available, and now knows that she has a lot of flexibility in how to do that. So, great.
I wanted to I wanted to add one thing to the conversation. This was previously stated about the timeline. Sometimes employers ask, when should I post a job? And I guess my recommendation is for any of us, reach out to our offices. We can help you. If it's not evidently clear, what makes sense to post the job or internship. I'm speaking specifically of internships where students are really planning, way in advance, or they should be, hopefully, for the following semester or the coming summer. If you're not sure how far in the timeline, prior you should be planning, I would say reach out to us. We meet with employers to talk about really good time frames of when students might be searching, applying, and then like registering for credit and all that. It's a really good question. So if you're not sure about that in the handshake process, when you're posting something, please, don't be a stranger. We'd love to help employers with that piece.
Thank you, Max, for that input. Great. Any final questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, sold. So again, the takeaway here is if you do have more questions that come up or need additional support, please contact these wonderful representatives of the universities. So with that, we'll wrap things up here. I will note again that we will be posting this webinar recording to our YouTube channel at SLC Chamber NY so that you will be able to go back and review this if you want to refresh your memory on any aspects of using Handshake. I'll note that we also have a number of other recordings on there from past Lunch and Learn webinars that you can access, including the Getting Started with Associated Colleges internships that was held in December, and you should definitely check that out if you did not have the opportunity to do so at that time. It is live and viewable on SLC Chamber NY YouTube. I would also like to note that the Chamber will be doing more Lunch and Learn webinars as we move forward into 2026. So if there are topics that you would like to hear about, or if there's something in particular you'd like us to cover, please let us know. Additionally, if you are interested in presenting a topic, we are always happy to share the expertise of our members to others. So please feel free to call me at 315-386-4000 extension 2 or at ben@slcchamber.org. You may also contact my colleague Laura Pearson, who is at extension 6 of the same number, or Laura at slcchamber.org. Interested in chamber membership, if you would like to become a member of the chamber and be plugged into all the things that we do. If you're not already a member, you may check it out at slcchamber.org to learn about benefits, dues, and our online applications. Or you can call us at the office or just email us. I will also plug here the Potsdam Chamber of Commerce is also a partner chamber in this putting forth this webinar, and you should check them out as well. So with that, I thank you all for joining us today to learn about Handshake so that we can collectively provide employment opportunities to the talent that is coming through our tremendous universities that we have here in St. Lawrence County, and such that they can join our workforce and meet all of our business and organizational goals that we have to promote a wonderful community and county here in St. Lawrence County. So thank you all very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.